For update 5.8, we have Ephemera 8 divine codes to earn. That means another batch of common manuals you can buy. Today we'll be going over who's available to purchase and see what kinds of skills you can inherit. Of course, you can always use common manuals for merging, and well, that may be the best use for some of these manuals this month. Starting with the 5-star common manuals, these cost 300 Ephemera 8. First up is Hubert, who has kind of had it rough. He did get the Red Fox tome, which is inheritable, and it inflicts -4 to all stats when initiating. That has now been on 2 other red mages, Noah and Urk, who are both 3 to 4-star units. Not exactly a big seller for Hubert anymore. For his special, he has Growing Thunder, which is kind of one of the harder to get AoE specials. It's only on other heroic grail units. For his beast skill, Hubert then has Chill Res, which provides guaranteed debuffs, but it has a lot of competition as a beast skill. Last, Hubert has Infantry Hexblade, which is an actual rare skill. It can only be equipped by infantry mages, and it only affects adjacent infantry units who use physical damage weapons. This excludes infantry beast. What it does is grant those allies +2 attack and speed, and gives them adaptive damage during combat. You can think of it like the mage is enchanting the weapons of their ally. Infantry Hexblade is definitely a strange skill, but it has potential. If you want to give it a go, it is definitely Hubert's most valuable skill, at least in terms of rarity. Our second 5-star manual is Dancer Micaiah. Her weapon and dance ability are locked to her, so you only got the choice of 3 passives. Unfortunately, one of them is a dancer only B skill. Fire Flood Dance grants +3 attack and +4 res for the ally that gets danced. If you want to pass it on to a high res dancer, you could also give them Res Ploy 3. The first 2 tiers of the skill can be gotten on Ileana, Forest, or Arete, and that would save you 20,000 feathers. With this same method, you could also just get Res Ploy 3 and the 3 tiers of attack and res bond. All of Micaiah's skills are on heroic grail or low rarity summable units, so nothing here is that rare. Considering the other 5-star manual is Hubert though, I wouldn't exactly either of these guys are clear must-haves. If anything, Infantry Hexblade is probably the most unique skill if you can make it work. You could also just use attack and res bond 3 to get to the tier 4 version on another unit. Besides that, not a lot going on for the 5-stars this time. Now unfortunately, that doesn't mean the 4-star manuals are that great either. They cost 100 Ephemera 8, and Valentines Veronica may be the best unit to get because of her weapon. The Pact Blooms Plus requires an ally within 2 spaces and inflicts -5 attack and defense on the foe, while also healing the user for 4 HP every time they make an attack. I think the Valentines tomes from this year are the best defensive inheritable tomes available, so blue mages got lucky since Veronica can pass hers along. For example, Sonya is a slower mage with some great defensive stats. She doesn't have a unique tome, but Pact Blooms is an amazing option for her. Now, for Veronica's other skill, she has Growing Thunder and Chill Speed 3 at 5 stars. Sounds a bit familiar. Her last skill is HP and Speed 2, which is not worth much unless you're going for that super extra budget build. If you're not using Veronica for merges, having another source of Pact Blooms is easily worth the 100 Ephemera. Next up is Valbar. I'll be honest, his skill offering is extremely underwhelming. The only thing even worth talking about is the Brave Lance, but many other units have this weapon. Obstruct can maybe find its uses, but there's a reason you don't see it being used at all. Third, we have Arthur. At least he comes with swap, which can go on any unit. HP +5 is another budget A skill, and while Lancebreaker is decent, you can find it on the 4-star Oscar as well. For his weapon, the Emerald Axe Plus is a Triangle Depth weapon. Unless you want to run it with Distant Counter, you could also just use the Triangle Depth A skill and use a more interesting weapon like a Sling Axe or a Hammer. Fourth, we have Merlinus. At 4 stars, he has the all-powerful Reposition, already worth picking up in my book. He will also be another source of Wings Mercy if you don't somehow have a million canes. At 5 stars, Merlinus then has the Smoke Dagger Plus, which inflicts -6 to all debuffs on all stats after you attack. He then has Distant Guard 3, which grants nearby allies +4 defense and res versus ranged foes. Pretty good buffing skill that has a Sacred Seal version as well. Last up, we have Cecilia. She does make for an excellent budget unit for countering blue foes with her unique Raven Tongue weapon. Not bad for a merge project. At 4 stars, she then has Rally Resistance and Escape Route 3. At 5 stars, she also has the regular green Raven Tome and Attack +3 for those looking for an absolute OPA skill. That's going to be it for this month's Ephemera common manuals. Kind of an unexciting batch this time. I wouldn't say anything really stands out as a must get. Infantry Hexblade is rare, but it does require a very specific setup to work. If you don't need any of these skills or units, then I would at least suggest picking up Valentines Veronica just for her tome. From the other 4-star units, Merlinus isn't that bad either. Be sure to spend last month's Ephemera Divine Codes because that batch actually had some really good skills to pick up. If you don't use them, you lose them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.